Silent Hill is a video game series that is distinguished by having a unique style of presentation in story, art, design, horror, sound design, and music. A lot has been said about the first topics, but in this video I want to focus on the music, mainly on how it was made, since the sounds that were used for the elaboration of its soundtrack are like a watermark of its style so unique among video games. Akira Yamaoka was the composer and sound director of Silent Hill since the first Silent Hill released in 1999 to Silent Hill Shattered Memories in 2010, and his music has been characterized by the use of sounds that were very rare to hear in other video games of the time, but were already used in electronic music of previous years. These are sounds that were frequently heard in techno, industrial, ambient, IDM, house, and drum and bass music in the 90s with the popularization of the sampling technique, using samples of previously processed or unprocessed sounds, and later altered and modified by changing the tonality and speed of the reproduction. When questioned about the use of these less traditional sounds in the series compared to other video games of the same genre and others, Yamaoka stated, "The biggest reason was that I wanted to make a differentiation from other video games. With that in mind, I chose industrial sound. I felt an industrial sound had so much of the necessary essence that I wouldn't find it in typical music. Also, I thought that the feeling of cold and oxidation that was only possible thanks to industrial music was very suitable for the Silent Hill theme." We can also find other less traditional sounds in Silent Hill's soundtrack, such as synthesizers, pads, textures, trip-hop, and hip-hop rhythms, among others, sometimes accompanied by more traditional ones such as violins, pianos, bells, guitars, etc. So let's talk about one of the most characteristic sounds of the series, with the most popular game, Silent Hill 2. Just at the beginning of the game, we hear the sound white noise, with a pad-type sound that will be recurrent in the saga and its music, which from the moment we listen to it, at the same time as we see the art direction of the bedroom, gives us the feeling that we will experience during much of the game, a feeling of loneliness, mystery, strangeness, and sadness. How did Akira Yamaoka make this sound? Well, he didn't. This sound comes from a library of samples, specifically from Distorted Reality 2 by Spectrasonics. This library, re-released in 1998, is the second volume of the Distorted Reality series, sample libraries that are among the best-selling in history and that had been used by a lot of multimedia, movies, music, TV shows, commercials, and so on. Since its release until today, it's still used by many artists. In fact, it's almost certain that you have heard some of its samples already somewhere, besides Silent Hill, and you have not noticed it. Distorted Reality was produced mainly by Eric Persing, who was Roland's chief sound designer and now founder of Spectrasonics, and has created some of the most used sounds in modern electronic music since he worked at Roland in 1984. His sounds can be found in Roland synthesizers such as the MKS-80 Super Jupiter, the GX8B, D50, GD800, GB1080, and XB5080, among others. The sample used for white noise is called Daybreak, and to give us an idea of how it was created, we can check the article published in Sound & Sound in July 2000. Many of the ambient sounds on Distorted Reality have no source at all, but were generated by letting 6 or 7 effects processors feedback on one another for hours. How? Sound changed the send levels to each feedback effect and then walk away, recording 2 hours of that tape. Come back with fresh ears in a few months and edit the best bits. Those bits can then be used as fresh source material for further processing and layering in the sampler or computer. Many of the sounds on both Distorted Reality 1 and 2 come from very long recordings of my sound design jams. Basically, my setting up a bunch of synths, samplers and effects feeding back on one another for hours on end. When I had completed the majority of my computer work for DR2, I noticed that even though I had used a myriad of techniques and programs, there was still something lacking in the collection. When I started to run my computer-generated stuff through analog filters and pedals, the sounds really came alive. So what you're hearing on DR2 is often a hybrid of both approaches. One doesn't need to have all that equipment to create such a sound now, because with advances in the hardware and software, it's possible to create similar results with synthesis techniques such as the granular synthesis or effects such as pulse rich. However, the way in which it was created and the final sonorous complexity is still remarkable. Once the sound is created, it is up to the producer or musician to use it in the ways he wants, altering its sound, rhythm, speed, coding it, adding more effects. Yamaoka then used this sound for the first song, whose feeling synergized the atmosphere of the scene, and it's that the sample itself already has a sound so mysterious, melancholic, and surrounding that it is a product not only of its timbre achieved through the effects applied for its creation, but also by the harmonics it contains. The harmonics are basically the main frequencies that make up a sound, and they are the notes in which we can represent it and observe if a sound has a musical timbre in any of the chords alone or in combination. In the case of Daybreak, we can analyze its harmonics with a spectrum visualizer. I reduced the sample by 1 semitone below, so that it can be understood more easily on the keyboard. Observe the peaks of the sample. These are its most prominent frequencies, and they are the harmonics of the sample. According to the frequency in hertz, we can represent its equivalent note on a keyboard. The harmonic we find is F, that represents the tonic and the note that will give the tonality of the sample. The next harmonic represents the note G sharp or A flat. C, note D sharp or E flat. F again but 1 octave higher, and the note G. Then we have more harmonics that are the same notes as the first ones but octaves higher. We can also highlight the main harmonics by increasing the amplitude of their frequencies with an equalizer to hear more clearly the notes that make up the sample. And here below you see the equivalent main notes of the sample. Finally, if we put all the notes together in a single octave and play them on a piano, we will then be able to observe the chord that makes up the sample. The first note of the scale, the tonic F, the third A flat, the fifth C, the seventh E flat, and the ninth G. Together, they form a minor ninth chord, a chord with dissonance and tension that never resolves the natural minor chord. And this is why the sample has a feeling of strangeness, sadness, loneliness, and mystery, as well as the sound of the timbre of the sample from the effects and processes that were used for its creation. Having the sample now, it is up to the producer to decide how to use it, and Yamaoka uses it in a more melodic way and against the most usual ways of creating music, since generally a song is composed of both major and minor chords. But being this sample a minor chord and the only one used throughout the song, it results in a song that always has tension and dissonance, that never resolves. It never plays a chord that ends with restlessness, and that starts the story that James will experience in Silent Hill. Pads like this we can hear in several more songs during the series, a type of pads that Yamaoka frequently used. Here are some examples. Pads with T79's minor chord sound have been widely used in the past, often in electronic music and played almost always with a single note, with no changes in tonality, unlike Yamaoka as we just saw. They probably didn't use samples like Yamaoka did, but synthesizers with effects, but the final sound is the one of a pad that sounds very similar. Continuing with analysis of Silent Hill music, Yamaoka sometimes used other sample types without altering its original tonality and speed. Other times he altered them from a few notes to several notes.
was the hand of God.
Another category that also arises from the sampling technique are the beats, and Yamaoka, for his taste and inspiration from trip-hop music, led him to frequently use libraries of beats with rhythms of this genre. And it is also here where the other genre so characteristic of the series predominates, industrial, which always accompanies the most terrifying, metallic, oxidized and decayed scenarios of Silent Hill. All the samples I've shown so far are just a portion of the actual amount that Yamaoka used in all the music and special sound effects of Silent Hill. Except for rock songs, piano melodies, guitar, violin, winds, everything else is almost certain to come from a sample. Anyone can use a library of samples as long as they acquire the license, and in order to have the license, you have to buy the library. Although it's not obligatory, very few artists manage to cite the source of their sounds in the credits of the work. These libraries allow producers and composers to work more easily and quickly, as opposed to making sounds from scratch, or hiring people to make them, that have an impact on the budget and production time of a work, and that's why it's common to hear their sounds in a lot of entertainment media. One might be disappointed that Yamaoka has used so many samples on Silent Hill, and although it may be true that this makes it less original, the most important thing is how the available resources are used, and in the case of Silent Hill, the results he achieved were perfect. Yamaoka is still original to my eyes because he chose, modified, altered, and ordered all the sounds in a way that any other producer or musician wouldn't have done in the same way. Besides composing original melodies in the piano, guitar, violins, and so on, finally creating a unique sound for one of the most important video games, not only in survival horror, but also in video games in general, and has also given us a soundtrack that we cannot stop listening, and it is also mentioned in the music lists for genres such as ambient, trip-hop, industrial, among others. If you want to know more about the use of the samples, legal issues, and even originality, I invite you to watch 2 videos on YouTube that address these topics that you might find interesting. The links are in the description.
Same way, I mean, working with a lot of the anime and game projects, this project came in called Silent Hill, and the male singer had to do some chanting, so I said, oh, I can do chants, you know, the scary stuff, you know, deep, scary stuff. So I basically auditioned for that and got it, got the gig.
that's all in this video. Talking about other music topics like Yamaoka's composition and music theory will make this video longer. I will probably make a video about it in the future, although I will rather see someone expert on the subject explaining it. I want to thank the SilentHillForum.com user Vibesect for creating the thread that allowed us to identify and initiate the exciting search for the sounds that were used in Silent Hill, and in which several users have contributed over the years to find the source of the sounds used by Akira Yamaoka. I also want to take this opportunity to invite you to listen to the music that I produce and that comes from the inspiration that Silent Hill has given me to enter to the world of music production and sound design. I have created some albums that, if you're a fan of Silent Hill, it might be of your liking. The links are in the description. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to give it a like, and see you next time.